there's an interesting item for executive session tonight, and executive session is when the freeholders and the attorney go into a room and the public has no hearing of what they're talking about. And it had to do with the renewable energy program and the UCIA, Union County Improvement Authority. What was interesting is I got up there, I guess it was in the public comment session, and I said, well, since you're going into executive session and you're going to be talking about the UCIA and the solar and the renewable energy program, I said I would assume that obviously Charlotte DeFilippo is here because she's the head of the UCIA, or at least Jonathan Williams, who is the legal counsel to the UCIA, should be here to go into an executive session with the freeholders to discuss whatever it was. Barry, which John will splice in, somehow Barry gave this roundabout, twisty, whatever it was, but I guess it sounded like they weren't going to be here. That's bottom line. So you can, John will splice it in. But anyway, so guess what? Charlotte's gone now, but yeah. And speaking of Charlotte, let me go back in. This is what I actually started asking before about the executive session. It looks like it's executive session, attorney-client privilege communications, potential contract negotiations with Union County Improvement Authority relative to the renewable energy program. Now, this Mr. Burry was talking about when it first reared its head a couple of years ago, and I subsequently was saying, no, we're looking at a failed program here. A good idea, but bad finances in a failed program. So wrap up my comments. I just want to know, obviously you're negotiating something with Union County Improvement Authority. I want to know, is Charlotte DeFilippo going to be here talking with you, or is it going to be Jonathan Williams or Dakota Fitzpatrick here to talk to you guys, which, again, he's being paid. So that I'd like to know. If you're going to answer anything, that I'd like to know.
Well, as you're aware, from the minutes from the executive session will be released once we have whatever we're discussing is available to be released.
So a simple question, you're saying, no, you're not going to answer a simple question. That's what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Thank you.
Specifically states that there are potential contract negotiations. So if in fact we go into negotiations, we don't really control who the Union County Improvement Authority would send to those negotiations. So the answer is we have no idea. We have no idea if there are in fact going to have to be further negotiations, and if those negotiations occur, who they will be with from the other side. Just and I don't want to go back and forth on this, but you're talking about the renewable energy program, which is part of the UCIA. You're talking about that. Sure sounds like somebody from the UCIA. I can always talk louder. Big deal.
Mr. Patterson.
You kind of. So what was it? Then John came up in public comment session and he talked about something. So go ahead.
Well, this is what I came up with.
You probably won't answer this, but I'll give it a go. Is that renewable energy meaning anything to do with bonds having defaulted with the? Is that, you probably won't answer that, but I'll throw it out there.
And it wasn't answered, obviously. The issue comes down to why were they in executive session? Now, there could be one of two things. Now, this is a $15 million bonding project. CODIS and Birdshaw got 1.4, something like that. They're going to get 1.5 million, 10%, probably more. They're still building.
Yeah, the project was all these solar panels that went on the public buildings.
So then, what could it be? An executive session contract negotiations? More solar panels? That just seems absurd because Passaic didn't want it, and
there was a phase two.
Price
there was a phase two, but they said nobody wanted to join in phase two.
Right. So the other thing, the bonds defaulted, because the bonds, there's a private company comes in, they get the money up front, they get their $15 million less fees, and they're supposed to repay the bonds with income they get from where they put those solar panels. Now that income is fixed because they set the deal. This is how much it's going to cost. We're only going to charge you there. The main part of their income comes from SREC money, solar renewable energy certificates. When this deal went through, they were $600 per whatever.
Yeah, per
now they're like $100 or something. The money's not coming in. So it's this private company. They come in and say, "All right, we spent all the bond money. We got nothing. We're going to county. You got to pick up the rest of this. We're out of here."
Yeah, bottom line, they could be talking about default where the taxpayers are going to have to pick up the $15 million that was fronted. by
Or
bonds.
going to the UCIA, who's going to do this, where's the money going to come from? But they're already funding the UCIA, so it's going to come from county taxpayers. That's the logical explanation. If that's ever going to come out, who knows?
Yeah, about 2 years ago, this is the solar panel program where all the government buildings are going to save something like 10% of their energy costs for electricity by way of what's generated by the solar program. And at that time, as Mr. Burry's talking about, the SRECs were $600, whatever the megawatt is, and it was starting to plummet. And John actually did do a study, and maybe it's on the County Watch's blog, but he did say that there's a good case that this could default because the revenue is drying up to pay off these bonds. And like John said, they're down. They actually dropped to $85 at one point, and they are hovering around $95, $100, which is like 1/6 of what they expected. And I'm sure when they were going into this program, they must have did some kind of cost-benefit analysis based on SRECs, and they probably even thought they were going to get yeah, maybe they probably hired somebody to do a consulting study. Which convinced them, of course, But anyway, so anyways, now they're only getting 1/6 revenue coming in from these SRECs. And I tell you, John's right on the money. He said that there's a good possibility that bonds could default. That's what we're looking at, and it's basically we were talking about it for about 2 years, that is the direction it's going. Here's the first crack in the dike. They're going into executive session to talk about something. So, will we ever find out what they talked about?
Probably. The bonds will default. It's just a matter of when and how much they're going to use up. They still have the money. They didn't spend it all on building panels, but it's going to default soon. Maybe it's going to be very, very soon.
Yeah, the company is Ticonderoga.
Well, we'll see. So something might be coming on the pipeline.
Yeah, dark cloud. What else is new? Thank you.